To my channel. I'm Mike the Man, and for the first time ever in his life, Chris Proudfoot is very proud, truly proud of the fact that he knows something that many others do not know, and he can't stop talking about it. And he can't stop talking to people who know less than he does, people who tap in the dark, people who make wrong guesses because it gives them a chance to say, let me make it crystal clear and let me tell you what the deal is on that, and so on and so on. And that's one of those things, we want the most what we think we cannot get. And I'm pretty sure that even when he was a child, Chris Proudfoot realized he's not as bright as many others. And he wanted to be in charge, and he can be if he manages to intimidate people, which unfortunately worked with his neighbors, who I think have a lot to tell. And we still don't know who leaked that video with the audio from the ringtone at night, the ring camera. We still don't know who that was. If you can remember who published it first, I would be very interested. I would be very interested in knowing the origin. If I had to make a guess, I would say it's real. Because apparently the neighbors even had a meeting, maybe several, maybe quite a few meetings, behind the back of the Proudfoots. They wanted to talk to each other about the case. They felt the need to share with each other what they cannot keep to themselves, because they know something that most of the public doesn't know for sure. And I have come across, or Julia sent me another video from, I believe it was Reporter Room. That's the name of the channel. By the way, I'm so sorry. I have previously shared something from, I think, the Reporter Room, and some of you have asked, whose voice is that? And that is the lady from Reporter Room, guys. So here is a video called Sebastian Rogers, Chris Proudfoot confronts Seth on Web Sleuth Reporter Room. I guess I have, previously shared some of it, but let me go to the 58-minute mark where it is about the beating.
Trish's show. This is, I mean, it's just unbelievable.
I wanted the answer. I'm giving you the answer. Now, when I answered that question, I told people.
Listen how he talks. And again, this is somebody who never wins a real argument. He only wins it because, or people make him think that he won an argument. Like Julia said it very well. Because people get intimidated by him. That was probably like that when he was a child. And now, even the neighbors are intimidated. They're hiding from him. So whatever he does, it's working for him. I don't know for how long, but at this point in time, it is actually working, which is so hard for me to imagine. But it doesn't speak highly of the neighbors. That none of them, only Bobby one time gave an interview to JLR, and then, that was it. She's been silent since.
Sebastian got a spanking. He got one lick on his butt outside of his clothes. If somebody can tell me how that's abuse.
No, I don't believe that for a second. I believe there were many, 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 many beatings.
To a child, explain to me.
He spent far too much time defending it and even making light of it. Bam! Or whack! He enjoys talking about it so much that means that tells me that he enjoyed doing it too much to only do it once.
You confirm when that happened?
I don't. That was years ago. I got spanked by a belt and.
Wait a minute. That was years ago? Wait a minute. You're telling me that what the CPS reports were about and what they came to the house for was something else? There was so much abuse and so many different types of abuse that. Wait a minute.
Wouldn't spend by my mom for years. So, but let's not sidetrack. Let's stay on board. Okay.
Right. Let's not sidetrack.
So the question about the CPS thing that came up to play that everybody wants to tie to this belt is not what it was.
It's even worse. That's making it even worse. If that wasn't tied to what happened years ago, to the belt, then back then, if it was years ago, CPS didn't visit their house. So whatever happened now must be very significant. And I wonder what that was. Let's listen in.
Okay. Well, I think it was confusing because when you initially talked about it, you referred to him as an embarrassed 15-year-old.
Yes, you did.
Like it was years ago.
We thought it was like right recently.
Well, instead of
So let's
asking
clear it
for
up.
clarification,
Let's clear
that
it up.
should have been. So
So,
as it stands, Sebastian went to school one day. He made a statement to a teacher. The teacher reports it to CPS. CPS comes to the house. That case has nothing to do with Sebastian getting spanked.
oh my God.
Oh, so he just dug himself, in my opinion, he just digs himself in deeper there. So that wasn't related to the incident with the belt. This is another incident. Oh my gosh.
Let's see what it was about.
Listen to this, you guys. This is
This
is trigger warning here, guys.
Okay.
This is really sad.
I can handle it.
That had everything to do with Sebastian didn't like being in trouble. So he thought by reporting it to him.
Notice how he victim blames. Sebastian is in trouble, meaning he is removing himself from the responsibility. It is almost like passive language that Sebastian put himself into trouble and he is avoiding mentioning what the consequences, in his opinion, actually were. He's a coward. He comes off like a strong man. He wants to come off like a strong man, but he is a coward who likes to beat children. And he enjoys it. And I listened to only a part of Nina's interview, but it was already enough to where the pattern was confirmed. That beating children, even Terry Bowersox Jr. said that he is very capable of hurting children. And he called Chris Proudfoot a piece of trash, who is very capable of hurting children. Of course, the incidents that happened allegedly when Chris was a teenager with his stepsister, that's something else that, of course, the records would be sealed if that's true. But obviously the Bowersoxes, the young Bowersoxes, at least 3 of them, and I saw their Facebook profiles. It seems they're living great lives, very good energy. Terry Bowersox and his daughter. It was very nice, very good pic. What a world away looking at that picture compared to of the Bowersox seniors who are trashing Sebastian even though he's missing. And I can imagine they were happy when they were 18 and got away from this nasty energy that they grown up with. And it is no surprise that none of them want to have a thing to do with their father. They took a picture together, 3 of them, with their mother Terry Bauer Sachs's ex-wife, and she passed away, I think, a year or a couple of years ago, or something like that, of cancer. And then there was another person that died of cancer. I forgot exactly. Some people thought it was Green Hoodie, so-called Green Hoodie. That was a whole different person. But I forgot how this person related to them. So this family is, of course, not worried about law enforcement, and we're going to get more into why they're not worried about them at all. But they're worried about the public because the public is closing in on them.
Ashton didn't like being in trouble. So he thought,
Again, being in trouble. What exactly does it mean to be in trouble? When I was in trouble, I had to go to bed earlier at night. How did Sebastian get into trouble?
by reporting it to a teacher, they were going to.
Wait. Reporting it to a teacher. What is it? A child doesn't say, I have to report that I was in trouble. A child will say, I got beaten, I got screamed at, I got locked up somewhere for a long time. I was, deprived food, whatever it is. A child will not go to the teacher and say, I was in trouble at home. They may say that at first. They may be careful, starting with indications of there being a problem, but they will move on really quickly to what actually they have to endure if they trust the teacher, as Sebastian did.
Come to the house, and they're going to take me out of the house and do this and do that. That is what the CPS case was about. And yes, I laughed at it because when I explained to Sebastian,
you are laughing at it now because Sebastian is gone.
Very detailed what happened, he thought it was a
You laughed at it, so why were you not home for 3 weeks?
joke. When the CPS lady shows up and looks at him and says, Sebastian, you can't false report. That will get people in trouble.
Well, I would like to talk to this CPS officer. And I would like to see actually the real report.
And you can get in trouble.
So I feel so bad for Sebastian. So just let's sum this up. Sebastian confides in a teacher about how he was being treated in the house. And I'm watching my words here, which to me confirms everything that I've been wondering about this case. Did Sebastian feel like he had no one to turn to in his own family, in his own household? What was really going on in the house?
Right.
Did Sebastian feel like he could talk to Katie about it or talk to Chris about it?
No.
Because listening to how Chris is talking in front of all of us, it doesn't seem so. I think that if Chris is willing to talk like this publicly, this says a lot about how he talks when the doors are closed. So Sebastian turned to a teacher and the teacher's the one who called CPS on the Proudfoots, not Sebastian. So what happens according to Chris Proudfoot, and I think Chris Proudfoot totally digs himself in here because he admits that Sebastian did report something, we don't know what, to the teacher, and that Sebastian was hoping Chris Proudfoot would be removed from his house. And
why would Sebastian want Chris Proudfoot removed? He didn't confide into Seth, but he confided into Seth's mother and told her how scared he is of Chris.
Instead, according to Chris Proudfoot, if this is true, the CPS lady, which is how he's going to describe her in just a second, tells Sebastian that he cannot file false reports. So imagine if Sebastian did feel afraid in his own house and tried to tell his teacher. Teacher let CPS know, and CPS comes to the house and tells Sebastian he's going to get in trouble for falsely reporting things. I mean, this is so sad. Did Sebastian feel like he had no one to turn to?
Do you believe that? Why are there pages of pages of a CPS report, and why did they come so many times to the house if it was just a hoax by Sebastian?
In this household, it just breaks my heart. Let's continue on.
And then she explained to him what happens.
What did he say you did to him?
Yes.
Can I ask you, what does that have to do with the price of eggs in China?
What a lowlife. That's exactly the question he's avoiding, and every time he avoids, it must have been horrible. It was either not just one lick, but a full-fledged beating. And why did he say on the outside of his pants? Did he actually remove his pants? We don't know, but he felt the need to say that, and this needs to be noted. Because maybe he considers if it's on the outside of his pants for it to be too weak. And maybe he felt the need to remove his pants to make it more significant to the child. I don't need to give you a trigger warning, right? I'm tired of trigger warnings anyway. This is true crime. Be ready. Be triggered by my channel.
When it comes to the disappearance of Sebastian.
He doesn't want to answer. All she wants to know.
It has nothing to do with the disappearance of Sebastian. Indirectly, because the beatings express the hatred you had for him. And you also expressed the hatred in so many different ways that caused your wife to completely ignore her son in their house and grew cold towards him.
I'm backing it up. All she wants to know is, what did he do? He won't answer. He won't say.
So he thought by reporting it to a teacher.
Reporting what?
They were going to come to the house and they're going to take me out of the house and do this and do that. That is what the CPS case was about. And yes, I laughed at it because when I explained to Sebastian, very detailed, what happened, he thought it was a joke. When the CPS lady shows up and looks at him and says, Sebastian, you can't fall.
Wait, did he say that he explained it to Sebastian? Because Sebastian was there. Why would he need to explain it? Unless, I hope I understood this correctly. Let me see what I can find here. Where are we at? Where are we at, people?
Report. That have to do with the price of eggs in China when it comes to the disappearance of Sebastian.
He doesn't want to answer. All she wants to know is, what did he do? I'm backing it up. All she wants to know is, what did he do? He won't answer. He won't say.
So he thought by reporting it to a teacher, they were going to come to the house and they're going to take me out of the house and do this and do that. That is what the CPS case was about. And yes, I laughed at it because when I explained to Sebastian, very detailed, what happened, he thought it.
Listen to the language. When I explained to Sebastian very detailed what happened, that makes no sense because Sebastian was there when it happened, when the incidents took place. So my thought is actually that what could have happened is that when CPS woman came, and she must have interviewed Sebastian by himself, but when Chris Foot was confronted, and maybe they were all together, that he tried to so-called explain to Sebastian what happened by lying. And maybe looking at Sebastian in a very strong manner, in the same type of manner that he would look at him when he was about to beat him. And Sebastian was starting to shake. And Sebastian knew, unless they're going to take me out of the house right now, this is going to end up really badly for me. Because children learn to read their parents and step-parents very quickly. They know when they get triggered and when they're about to get violent. Kids know these warning signs. Kids also know like my daughter knew when I've had enough of something. She knows when I'm playing around with her, and she can do some stuff that she maybe shouldn't do, but she also can tell by the look in my eyes that now this is it. Now I'm done. Now, be cool. Kids read their parents extremely well. So my thought is, when Miss CPS was right there, Chris Foot talked to her the way he is talking right now on these lives. And he's making it crystal clear. And he's explaining the deal. And he's talking in a very vehement manner. And Sebastian felt the energy. And Sebastian thought, maybe I should backtrack or retract. I should take it back and just agree with Chris Foot right now. Because just because the CPS, the teachers are serious, it doesn't mean every CPS officer is a good one or a skilled one. A lot of things, and it's difficult to control these types of situations. It's difficult for them, of course, to make a proper judgment when you have middle class or upper middle class parents who are just horrible abusers. You can't really get them for some, you can't really, like, you go into certain parts of the country and say, okay, these people, we see there's there are liquor bottles everywhere, and there are, there's a mess pipe or whatever. Yeah, let's get back up and let's get the kid out of the house. But it's different over there. It is not that easy for them, especially when they have legal representation and threaten with it. But my guess is that Sebastian was so intimidated, he wasn't able to stand right next to Chris Foot and repeat what he previously said had happened. So Chris Foot created a new narrative that he is now publicly sticking with. Which is probably why CPS didn't let go, and they kept revisiting, and they kept re-interviewing Sebastian, because they may not have been able to move any further, but they knew. Let's hear more from the Foot.
It was a joke. When the CPS lady shows up and looks at him and says, Sebastian, you can't false report. That will get people in trouble, and you can get in trouble.
And I'm wondering if Sebastian just tried to play it off like a joke because he's scared.
Yes.
At this point, he's afraid. Listen to how this person talks when he on TV, and this is his best behavior when Gray is on the panel. So kudos to Gray for coming up.
I have no idea who Gray is. I don't want to know.
Gray doesn't stay. He gets off, and then Chris goes right back to being Chris.
And then she explained to him what happens.
What did he say you did to him?
Yes.
Can I ask you, what does that have to do with the price of eggs in China when it comes to the disappearance of Sebastian?
He's so stupid. He doesn't even use the phrase correctly, but he likes to. When Chris learns a new phrase, he cannot wait to use it again, even if he doesn't understand it.
Because you're wondering why people are coming at you. And it's because he was in your home last. That was the last place he was seen.
Yes,
so
it was.
When we hear these things, it's like, okay, let's just clear it up and see what happened. Because
yes, he was. Unless he was seen by you somewhere else.
I'll tell you why. Because people, I'm not saying me.
Because he answered, yes, he was, a little bit too quickly. Because what she says, in your home. But if you believe the tape, it would have been outside of the home for both of them. And Chris Foot maybe a little bit longer than that. He's very quick to say yes to this one.
But I've seen people say, hey, he was hitting his child. He reported it to his teacher. Did something happen? Was there an explosive incident that happened?
No, absolutely nothing of that nature.
Okay.
And for people to not understand,
Then why not say what it was?
Yes.
Why not just say what it is? If it's nothing, if it's a nothing burger, just say that.
when you discipline a child, there's a difference in discipline and abuse. There truly is.
It must have been really bad what he did. At least as bad as beating him with a belt.
It's a difference.
But I think hitting anybody with a belt is abuse. I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah, knock it down.
Truly is a difference.
But I think hitting anybody with a belt is abuse. I'm sorry, I do. And a lot of people agree with me, and that's the problem.
It is.
And
So
guess what? That's the great thing. That's the great thing about having your opinion.
Yes.
That's an opinion. That's not a fact. That's opinion.
Okay. I think a belt is abuse, but that's my
If I was leaving bruises and marks on a child, that's abuse.
So it's only...
There are many types of abuses that don't leave any physical marks. And this is a lowlife speaking. It's your opinion. Chris has nothing but opinions because he doesn't have thoughts. An opinion can be a placeholder for a developing thought that you may wind up dismissing, or it becomes a fact. Chris doesn't understand it.
Falls into that category if there's bruises, right? I don't know, you guys. Thank you so much, Miss Nonya Bez, for the $5. She says he's showing his true colors. The light is slowly shining on his dark, nasty.
Yeah, blah, blah, blah. Keep moving. Keep moving. She gave you $5. Who cares? Let's go.
Keep it classy. Karen says, does Katie hide the keys to the back door in a place that Sebastian can't find them? I just think he couldn't have locked the door. I'm not saying there was a door that unlocked only from...
Just because somebody donates $5 doesn't mean you have to ask a question that's already been asked and it's already been dismissed.
The inside. But the front door had a keypad. And
Jesus.
It,
Start analyzing and quit yapping. He did not walk outside of the door. Period.
It would have locked behind, but the other doors were all still locked, which means we know Sebastian supposedly left with the flashlight and no keys. So he would not have had a way to lock the back door behind him, if that makes sense, Karen. Rusher says, okay to brainstorm, but people just need to be careful what they put out as
Oh, Jesus Christ.
I don't know. We don't know, Mayfinder. But please don't, let's watch the words we use in chat, guys. Keep it G-rated, please. Imagine having to have a debate with Chris. No wonder he's on his fifth wife and he doesn't have custody.
Yeah, who
he's
cares?
He's not a nice guy and the truth is coming out.
I am honestly...
Sorry.
Okay, let's go.
A little YouTuber. Oh, yeah, he goes after everybody. Everybody who's all they're trying to do is just help.
I have very little patience with that, but you know, I have not heard this footage anywhere else. I mean, this feature.
I'm not monetized right now, so we're all getting demonetized. We're just doing this. We just want to help.
Then let's go.
A cat? No, Trish's cat is going crazy because I'm sure Trish is getting upset. Even though she's trying to stay calm, she is staying calm. She's very professional, but her cat starts going bonkers.
Okay.
A second. All right. Yeah, if this is making you feel upset, just
no, it's not.
I understand.
Reality. We shouldn't run from reality. Of course, if something makes you upset, you just leave. Seriously. But leave it to others who have to deal with it and have to listen to it in order to understand and pass on what's really going on or what really went on behind closed doors in the house of Sebastian Rogers.
It's very sad. And think about living in the house with this man. If you're under his rule, under his thumb, and you go to your teacher to try to share whatever he shared, and Chris Proudfoot won't say what it is because he says it has nothing to do with anything. But it does. If Sebastian ran away, Or there was some.
The same way he tried to tell us that the lights at 3 a.m., that was just nothing. Just a coincidence that that specific night that Sebastian Rodriguez disappeared, a car pulled up, you could see at least 2 people with flashlights, and then it disappeared, and no other car appeared. No other car was seen on all the cameras. The next one was seen was a trash truck, then I think Katie's car and the school bus. Nothing else went by. And no boy was seen.
Thing that went on that night and something else awful was said or done, it does matter.
That would be considered abuse.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, so by definition, that's weird. That's what I'm trying to get y'all to understand. You can say your opinion, and that is fine, but you have to back it up.
It's more than an opinion, you moron. It's more than an opinion. You don't understand facts. You live in a world where you don't see the line between an opinion and actual research or actual factual statements. He doesn't understand it. So he's trying to drag everybody down to his level. And he gets mad when he isn't able to do that, because that's the only way he can win an argument. If he first gets people to admit something they should never admit, that what they know is only an opinion. He wants people to question themselves. And he always says this needs to be done in person, because in person he knows how to intimidate better. He has a hard time doing this over the phone. This is not easy for him because he needs to use his words. Otherwise, as Bobby said, he would appear and just get in your face.
Say, what I'm stating is just an opinion. There's no fact to it.
Well, I'm going to just state this as a fact. I feel like whether you leave marks or not, if you're putting your hands on somebody else, that's not okay. Period. But that's, if you're using a belt to do it, that's not okay. Period. But that's, I'm going to state that as a fact.
Yes.
And that's what I believe.
Amen.
As a fact. That is not okay. There's no excuse. This was a special needs. No excuse to put your hands on special needs.
Or any child.
When you don't say that, you'll leave it open to interpretation for a lot of people to take it and run with it. That was a lot of the problem.
That tone of voice is when he knows he's cornered. And his words cannot get him out of it.
Problems with this.
And there will be people, I can get people from CPS that will say, getting a child with a belt is an abuse. But here's the thing, you're right. That doesn't have anything to do necessarily with Sebastian and his disappearance. But what it does,
it is at least indirectly connected,
is it creates a narrative in people's minds that we need to clear up and change, Chris. We need to clear it up and change it. Okay? So let's do that.
Did.
Okay.
Trisha tries everything to help Chris Proudfoot here, in my opinion. He just cannot get out of his own way.
Now, you did go on Nancy Grace and say that CPS has never been called.
Oh my God, really?
No, that's not. No.
Okay, that's what I heard. What did you say?
She asked the question about a situation, and she asked me if I had ever had CPS called on me, I believe is what the question was. I'm going to tell you right now, I don't exactly know what the question was without hearing it again. So I'm not going to answer you
good.
with something without having it in front of you.
Okay.
Again, he avoids something, and that means, if any of you remember this question on Nancy Grace and what exactly he said, I'm very curious. I will look it up myself.
That's fair. That's very fair. Very fair. And so let's move on. Okay. So nothing came.
It's very fair. Yeah, there's a reason he keeps calling into these certain shows.
About that from you hitting him with a belt. Has there ever been?
Because I don't know what I would do in the situation. I would not let go. I don't think I would be able to let go. I would not be able to say, well, maybe I should let go and just move on to the next, because he already told us actually what happened. That what happened was very severe, at least as bad as hitting him with the belt on the back of his pants. At least. He admitted to that, but he said it was years ago. So what CPS was called on was, in my, I would say, opinion right now, very strong opinion, a lot worse than that. A lot worse. Much worse. If it was the same thing, or if it was less, Chris wouldn't have a problem saying it. He would be able to say it and then say, well, that's Sebastian's opinion, and I don't think this happened. But he cannot get himself to say that. He's just avoiding it, point blank.
People are going to ask, has there ever been any violence in your home?
Yes.
As far as Sebastian is concerned?
No.
Okay. Now, Gray asked, why is Seth being treated so different? Because of how Chris came on and became so angry and did what you did tonight, Chris. You've done this before, and I think that's why, and Seth didn't. And I think that's the difference.
Right, because I don't feed out of people's hands. I don't feed into what people think. I don't, and once again, that's the difference.
No, it's called having manners, having basic manners, basic respect for other people, and just being belligerent and enjoying it. You know, this is exactly what statement analyst Peter Hyatt said, that he is belligerent. My grandfather would have referred to him as ornery, but he's belligerent and he enjoys it on top of that. So this goes back and forth, and I'm just going to hop ahead here. So Chris Proudfoot tells us that Sebastian has gone out of the house barefoot before, but has never run off. And
Really? He has gone out of the house barefoot before? I haven't heard that one. I have heard that he is scared to be barefoot outside because of this one incident with the fire ants. And if you remember the picture of Sebastian on this flamingo in a swimming pool, he even wore swimming shoes. He even wore shoes in the swimming pool. So for what reason would Sebastian have walked outside of the house barefoot? And when? What were the circumstances? Please tell me more, Chris Proudfoot.
The time, they do ask him what time he and Katie were on the phone, and he refuses to give an exact time, but does acknowledge he was on the phone with Katie Proudfoot during the time she heard the thud, which was around 10 p.m. So I'm wondering if Sebastian overheard a conversation between Chris and Katie Proudfoot. Were they FaceTiming, or she have Chris on speakerphone, especially being that they were talking for 3 hours? Did Sebastian hear him and feel upset that he had to run out of the house with bare feet? I'm not saying this is what happened. This is speculation on that. But let's hop forward, because let's just get into more.
Sorry, I proud food one time when I wrote it.
Yeah, I've been called Bradford, Proud Food, Proud.
They're talking about the fact that his name was misspelled for a couple of minutes on the air.
Okay.
Move on.
Reported she heard it thud. That's it.
But did she
knock it
ask?
off and
No,
go to bed.
I've seen different reports of she heard a thud. She said, I don't know what you're doing in there, but you need to go to bed. I've seen other reports that Sebastian responded back to her. If he did respond back to her, do you know what he said?
Yeah, he replied, yes, ma'am.
Okay. We're clearing things up.
Wait, you were on the phone with Katie and you heard Sebastian say, yes, ma'am? Sebastian said it that loud? Yeah, right.
Right.
That's all this is. Let's just clear it up. You know.
There was a noise. Katie heard it. She responded. Sebastian answered.
More hand clapping. Boy, if I were like in the house, I wonder, if he pulls his belt off and smacks that against his hand. I don't know, you guys. To me, I feel uncomfortable with him. I wouldn't be comfortable with him interacting with him at all. Let me check in with Chad, and then we're going to do, you can hear the cat is going bonkers. She's going to take the cat out in a second. But the cat's probably picking up on her energy, right? And, she doesn't have headphones on, so the cat can hear this. Thank you so much. Marcia said this conversation should...
It's actually possible that the cat doesn't like his voice and gets out of there.
Never been taken place with Chris. Katie should be the one speaking. It all goes back to Katie, in my opinion. Brain hearts for Sebastian. Thank you. The cat is meowing. Is too funny when he is so mad. I'm sure the cat is like feeling the agitation because she doesn't have headphones on, which means that everything that's being said on the computer can be heard in the household. So I think the cat, and also probably picking up on Trisha's energy, which is this. I'm feeling upset just watching this, and I'm sure just going through this with him and just trying to help him. That's all she's trying to do is and Lisa says he definitely tries to control the conversation. Oh yeah, he does. Yeah, there's a cat. I'm going to just move past the cat comments.
Yeah, please.
Even the cat doesn't like him.
Please move on.
Chris Proudfoot needs to up his medication. I don't know.
Stop. Move on.
Thank you so much for being here. Does Sebastian have a bicycle? That's a great question. I don't have the answer to that. Text this girl says, no, that's a lie. Everyone has accused Chris and Katie at the beginning and still doing it. I have from day one known they are innocent. They did not do anything to him. Nobody said that.
Procrastination isn't your fault. I thought you're not monetized, so why do you...
innocent? They did not do anything to him. Nobody said that. Nobody said that on today. I haven't said that, and neither has Trish.
I've said it.
I don't know what you're saying.
And anybody
you're addressing someone in
who
chat.
isn't, anyways.
Who took down the flyers? He did not do it. It wasn't him. That's a rumor that was dispelled during this. Even the cat is mad.
Okay, this is getting really, really
line.
painful.
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
Yeah, I'm wondering too if you're...
I guess something is coming, so bear with me, people.
I'm sure she was sitting next to him. But anyway, let's continue on, guys.
Oh yeah, thank you so much.
Some of you guys feel like they are innocent. They're not. I'm not here to decide that. Please no caps. Yeah, please don't do that.
Yeah, I have a hard time listening to these things. I want to know the end. I want to hear the exact words from the persons of interest. That's the most important thing. And of course, everybody's innocent. I have to prove them guilty. I'm not a judge. I'm not a member of the jury. And it's, I guess, only my opinion that I'm stating.
It flags the algorithm. You can text this girl, do you think aliens took him? Let's not get into in that kind of thing either. Just be...
Why do you even read this? Why do you read this on the air? What are you trying to do? Serious people. That's why I have never listened to this, and I can only do it because I'm on the air actually with you guys. And I force myself to sift through the crap in order to get to actually what can give us answers. And that's got to come from the people who have knowledge, guilty knowledge in this case, of what took place. People who actually know what happened. And yes, Katie is much more important because she was actually physically there when the thud took place. Her statements are much more important than Chris's, but Chris talks a lot more, and Katie decides to talk about food 80%. What Sebastian liked to eat. At least Chris Foot goes off in tangents, and you can accuse him of certain things, because Katie, of course, was just a silent bystander who watched the atrocities, as has been done many times in history, the silent masses, which is also why I'm telling you, neighbors, reach out, talk about what really happened. Don't just talk to each other. The world needs to hear what you know, what you have seen on your own cameras. Stop hiding. You are the reason, the bystanders, the knowing bystanders, who then complain, oh, there's too many journalists. Well, tell us what really happened. Then the case can be solved and you will have peace.
Be polite. Let's just keep it classy in our chat. I don't want anybody, don't add anybody. I don't want anybody to feel.
Doesn't have to, let's say, keep it real in the channel. Asking if aliens took Sebastian, that's classy.
Bullied or anything like that. Just talk respectfully. Watch your words. Let's keep it classy in the chat, because I think this is hard enough to listen to without all that. Okay, so the next part that we're going to be talking about is, so Chris Proudfoot tells us that Sebastian has gotten out of the barefoot.
We already heard so much that this doesn't make it any harder. It actually gives us answers.
Before, but he's never run off. Now, we're going to jump forward a little bit because Chris Proudfoot's going to talk about Sebastian's sleeping issues.
All right.
And Sebastian did have sleeping issues. Listen to this.
How could he not have?
I'm skipping over just some of the belligerence and the anger parts.
Okay, cool.
Yes.
Okay. That would be the only thing that would make sense, really.
Let me back it up.
That's, and again, I swear to you, Chris, we're not trying to be hostile.
Oh.
But I've spoken on this live channel before.
Please make sense.
If Chris ever came here, we would treat him with total respect and honor.
Respect has to be earned. And so far, his respect credits are like at minus 10,000. He needs to make up for a lot of things before he gets any respect from anybody.
And I really am trying to help, because I want people to get behind you and Katie, Chris, because I want people to help find Sebastian. And it's just...
By the way, who the hell is this? Trish? I don't know who she is. Oh, Web Sleuth, okay.
Such a bizarre thing. I mean...
It's a bizarre case, yes, it very much so is.
And so, Sebastian...
You see, he likes these labels. Bizarre. It's bizarre. It's amazing. Without a trace. Case closed. Bizarre. Let's file it into the bizarre section, the mystery section, and not revisit and leave it at that. That's what he wants.
Leaves, but he's not on anybody's camera. Is that what the police have said, or are you allowed to say?
I can't go into details on that, but here's what I will tell you that's public. Our subdivision is very dark.
Mm-hmm.
Yes?
There's no street lights in the subdivision whatsoever. If you go online, Google it, whatever, you'll see that there's absolutely no street lights in the subdivision. None.
Right.
Is there a possibility
That laugh.
that some cameras may not pick up somebody walking in front of them because of how dark it is? Yes.
Okay. That would be the only thing that would make sense, really.
Right.
Well, he even told me, remember when he told me that, like, even some detectives didn't show up on the cameras?
Correct.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. Yeah. That makes perfect sense then.
And remember, Sebastian was wearing all black. So now the big question is, if he did leave of his own accord, why? What happened? Did he go outside? Was there some kind of argument and he ran outside in his bare feet? Was he planning to run away?
Because that's been driving everybody crazy.
But if he was planning on it, why didn't he take his shoes? Why didn't he take a cell phone? Why not take a jacket?
But if it's so dark...
I know, and it's hard for it, trust me, for everyone out there that, cameras will pick up and all this. No, I promise you, not all cameras have the best quality as, you know, I mean, the stuff that you see on TV, and you see a demo of a camera in a store. It's different when you put it on a house and different elements. So, you know.
You know what? Why are you laughing?
Okay, so it was so dark that it is logical to conclude.
Everybody has stooping delight in a different way. And in Chris Foot's case, he's just laughing. Remember the times he laughed before? All in critical situations where he has blatantly lied, and the only thing he can do is laugh at the fact that people don't ask additional questions and just let it go.
That the cameras that Sebastian would have walked by, did not pick him up. And that's something that is logical, that people can accept. Absolutely. I think this is a good question. Did Sebastian ever have nightmares? Could he have had one that scared him so badly that he took off?
Shut up.
Has he ever had bad nightmares?
He's had sleeping issues. I mean, he doesn't really sleep a lot. That's why he's been, you know, but that's been his whole life. That's not just been like a segment. I'm pretty sure, I believe Seth has even mentioned this before as well. You know, and the only time, I've seen a couple times where he slept really.
When he feels the need to bring in Seth, well,
but I mean, that's why after a hard day of playing, if he's helped with outside work, but for the most part, he's had issues sleeping.
That's a big help in understanding this. Has he ever done anything like hid under a neighbor's car or anything like that?
Well, I'm going to say we
something.
have never seen anything like that. There's been somebody that has said something to that effect, but I'm not going to sit here and say for a fact, yes, he has.
Okay.
Like I said, I don't have an answer for that.
Okay, so he doesn't know if he's ever hid under somebody's car or not. So that's another thing that we've heard. Holly says he wouldn't have talked to Nancy Grace like that. Ozark Lisa feels like he was really condescending. CC True Crime says Chris is responsible for most of the misinformation. What game? Chris Proudfoot from Brother Mike. Cheryl C says, why should they?
Not me.
And Josh says that's true to you, Holly. And then Amelia, this is one of our head mods. Amelia and Jazz are our two head mods that are in here. The other one is Jane J. She's having some issues that she can't be a mod today. But Amelia, not issues, she has something else that came up. Amelia said all civilly and respected theories and opinions are welcome. Yeah, so just keep it classy. The mods will chime you out. And then if it continues, then they'll just remove you. Pam says, I don't know. I'd say yes if he has a shunt. Yeah. Absolutely not. You asked for public health. He's just trying to make Seth look bad once again. Seth is about to join the chat, you guys.
Oh, really?
So Addis Press says, does anyone else think it's funny how the Proudfoots were all yes, ma'am, and no, ma'am whenever they were talking to Nancy Grace, but he's rude with these ladies? I think this is a pretty good idea. And he still knows he's on TV. So if this is how he is on TV, Nancy would have put him in his place. Pen Jam says, I would be a nervous wreck in his company. I would not want to be under his thumb. I would agree. All right, so let's continue on, guys. So the next part, we're gonna go 2 minutes, 20 minutes, 20 seconds, 2 hours and 20 minutes, and Trish asks him whether Sebastian was planning to go live with Seth. All right, so this is really important. And then so let me just fast forward a little bit right there.
Okay.
That is something that we've all had mutual respect. I'm pretty sure, I believe Seth has even mentioned this before as well.
Seth again.
I've seen a couple times where he slept really well, but I mean, that's why after a hard day of playing.
What was that? What respect?
So let me just fast forward a little bit right there.
Okay.
That is something that we've all had mutual respect.
Which you respect.
I'm pretty sure, I believe Seth has even mentioned this before as well. And the only time, I've seen a couple times where he slept really well, but I mean, that's after a hard day of playing. If he's helped with outside work, but for the most part, he's had issues sleeping.
That's a big help in understanding this.
And that particular night, Katie wanted to make sure that he would sleep. And in my opinion, that's why she took pictures also of Sebastian eating. Maybe she was saying, oh my God, I don't know what to do, how to get him to sleep tonight. Should I? Shouldn't I? What should I do? I don't know, just a possibility. That's my opinion, just a speculation.
Never done anything like hid under a neighbor's car
Again?
Or anything like that.
To tell you what he does and doesn't do at his father's house, those are two separate households.
Okay.
And Sebastian is one way at our house. He's a different way at his father's house.
No kidding.
Okay.
That is something that we've all had mutual respect on, all the parents together.
Can you answer, was he planning to go live with Seth?
Yes.
Okay. And was he excited about it?
No. What the hell is this?
No.
Wow. So think about this from Sebastian's point of view. He's already autistic, and we know people with autism really don't like a lot of change in routine. Routine makes them feel comfortable,
No.
makes them feel safe.
Sebastian wanted to live with Seth. And he told Seth about it, and I believe it. And he was excited, but he doesn't want to get into why.
Than neurotypical people. And so now he's going to be moving to go live with his dad. So new household, new everything. And now we're finding out in this interview that Trish did such a great job on from Websleuth that he didn't want to go. Not because of anything to do with Seth, though. Let's listen in.
Okay.
At one point he was, but no.
Do you know why he changed, why he wasn't excited?
Yes, because he was informed that he will be doing online schooling vice, in-person school.
Okay. Was there a reason for that?
That's personal matters in my family that will not be discussed with.
Understood. And I respect that. Thank you.
Thank you, people. I will continue with another video, and then we will discuss whatever appearance will be there of Seth and Chris together. Seth will come on, and I'll see you next time. Please let me know if there's anything that I have missed, if there are any particular statements that you think I need to look at, anything that stood out to you, anything where you say, wait a minute, what was that? Follow your intuition, listen to your intuition, trust your intuition enough to let it guide you towards the statements that you think need to be further examined, and I will be more than happy to discuss them in my next video. Take care, everybody. Stay away from anybody sidetracking you. Feel free to discuss in the comment section what you think happened, what we can do to blow this case up in terms of from the right angle, from the angle of truth. So we are not getting overshadowed by the propaganda job that was done on America's Most Wanted and possibly upcoming on Netflix, because we need to reach the right people, the types of people that listen to it and say, I cannot listen to this anymore because I know enough and I want to know more.